Assalamualaikum and very good day to our respected lecturer, Madam Salwan. Today, we will be presenting our topic titled An Error Analysis of English Grammar in Malaysian Street Interviews from Abang Brand TikTok channel. Next. I am FATIN RABIATUL and together with my group members SITI MAISARAH, SYAZWEENA, MARYAM, INTAN, SOFEA and RAUDHAH, we will begin our presentation. Start with our background of the study. Social media today has become a major space for language use and learning. TikTok in particular encourages spontaneous and natural speech, giving a real example of how people communicate in daily life. According to Yong Ju Lee in 2024, TikTok supports more natural interaction compared to classroom settings. In Malaysia, English is a second language and many learners struggle to produce accurate grammar during spontaneous speaking. Research by Mahdud et al. In 2022 and Mehad and Ismail in 2021 shows that Malaysian ESL learners commonly make mistakes involving tense, subject-verb agreement and sentence structure even among advanced learners. Next. So this study focused on TikTok street interviews by Abang Brand, which provide natural, unrehearsed English spoken by Malaysian. These videos allow the observation of recurring grammatical patterns in real communication. The analysis uses Corder in 1974 error analysis framework, which identifies errors such as omission, addition, misformation, and misordering. Next. Moving on to research problem, although English is widely used in Malaysian education and daily communication, many learners still struggle with grammatical accuracy in spontaneous speech. Kashinathan and Aziz in 2021 found that learners often lose grammatical control when speaking without preparation. Mars also reported that undergraduates commonly show defluencies and grammatical errors during natural conversation. Studies further suggest that spontaneous communication produces different kinds of errors compared to structured tasks. Levis and Barrioso in 2012 note that unplanned speech leads to more varied mistakes than control reading. Similarly, with Kim et al. In 2022 observed that second language speakers often use fillers, self-repairs and ungrammatical expressions using natural speech. So, these challenges are clearly seen in the TikTok interviews where speakers sometimes produce incorrect verb forms, sentence structure, or word choice. However, academic research on authentic spoken English from social media remains limited. Therefore, this study aims to identify the grammatical and lexical errors found in these interviews and analyze the possible causes behind them. The findings will help provide a clearer understanding of how Malaysians actually use English in real, informal digital communication. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fatin. I'll continue with our research objectives and research questions. So the first objective is to identify the types of grammatical and lexical errors produced by TikTok interview participants in Abang Brand's videos. So since the interviews are spontaneous and informal, they naturally contain both grammar errors and vocabulary-related errors. So we analyze both to get a complete picture. And the second objective is to identify the most frequent grammatical errors in Abang Brand's videos to examine how spontaneous speech may contribute to their occurrence. So this helps us understand not only which error happens the most, but also how speaking without preparation can affect accuracy. So based on these objectives, our study is guided by two research questions. And the first question is, what are the common types of language errors made by interviewees in Abang Brand's TikTok videos? And the second question is, which grammatical error occur most frequently in Abang Brand's videos? And how does spontaneous speech contribute to their occurrence? So together, these questions guide the whole study. Next slide. So this study is significant for several reasons. And firstly, it contributes academically by applying error analysis to modern digital content. So So instead of focusing on written work or controlled classroom tasks, we analyze some spontaneous TikTok interviews, which shows how Malaysians actually use English in real-life interactions. Secondly, the study is useful for teaching and learning. So by identifying the most common errors in spontaneous speaking, teachers can design activities that help students improve their accuracy and fluency in real-life communication, not just in tests or writing tasks. And lastly, data interviews provide authentic language data. They capture natural speech that includes bilingual influence, code switching, informal vocabulary, and unplanned grammar structures. This makes the findings more reflective of real Malaysian English. Next slide. So our study is supported by a few key theories. The first one is Corder's Error Analysis 1974, which classifies grammatical errors into omission, addition, misinformation, and misordering. This framework helps us categorize the structural errors found in the TikTok data. The second theory is the Linkers Interlanguage Theory 1972, which explains how learners develop their own language system influenced by their first language. This is relevant because many errors in Malaysian English are shaped by L1 patterns, especially in spontaneous speech. We also refer to the difference between spoken and written grammar, where spoken English is more informal and more prone to errors. And finally, we consider social media as a data source because TikTok provides authentic real-life examples of everyday English use. So that is all from me. I will pass to the next presenter, Weena.
Thank you, Sarah. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is SYAZWEENA. For this part, I will explain the types and causes of errors based on Corder Error Analysis Framework. According to Corder, there are four main types of error that commonly appear in second language learner speech. The first type is omission, which happens when speakers leave out necessary grammatical elements. For example, in our data, many participants said things like I want go home or she happy, where auxiliary verbs or articles are missing. The second type is addition. This is when unnecessary elements are added, usually because of overgeneralization. An example is sentences like he didn't went, where the learner applies the past tense rule twice. Next is misinformation, which was actually the most frequent error in our dataset. This happens when the wrong word form is used. For instance, incorrect verb tenses like I am study or subject-verb disagreement such as he don't know. Finally, misordering refers to incorrect word order, such as I know like this or she beautiful is. These errors reflect how speakers arrange words quickly during spontaneous speech. As for the causes, our analysis shows that the main reason is L1 interference. Malay does not use verb tenses or verb agreement, so many participants directly transfer Malay structures into English. We also found evidence of overgeneralization, where learners apply one grammar rule to all situations, like adding ed to every verb. Limited vocabulary also plays a role. When they cannot recall the correct word, they improvise, which results in word choices errors or literal translations like during my baby time. Another major factor is spontaneity. Because TikTok interviews are unrehearsed, participants prioritize meaning over accuracy, so errors naturally increase. And finally, bilingual use or code switching is very common in Malaysia. This explains why many responses contain Malay particles like lah, kan, or ma. These are not mistakes socially, but they are considered lexical deviations in standard English. Next slide, please. For this methodology, this study uses a qualitative descriptive research design. This design is suitable because our aim is not to measure things numerically, but to describe the nature of errors in real spoken communication. We focus on the natural meaning, context, and characteristics of speech in Abang Brand's interviews. Since the conversations are spontaneous, qualitative analysis helps us understand how and why these errors occur. The research also follows Corder Error Analysis Framework. This involves several steps, which is the first one, collecting the spoken data, identifying the errors, classifying them based on the four types, and finally explaining the possible causes. In short, this design allows us to examine real examples from actual TikTok conversations and interpret them in a systematic and meaningful way. Moving on to the next slide. For our data sources, we selected 30 TikTok videos from the creator Abang Brand. These videos were chosen because they contain natural, unscripted conversations in English, usually 1 minute to 1.5 minutes long. We used purposive sampling, which means we did not select the videos randomly. Instead, we intentionally chose videos that met our criteria. For example, the presence of spoken English, Malaysian participants, and unplanned dialogue. This method ensures that the data is relevant and rich in linguistic features, especially grammatical and lexical errors that occur in real-time speech. Overall, the dataset reflects authentic, everyday Malaysian English used in digital spaces, making it ideal for analyzing spontaneous language patterns. Thank you. That's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Okay, thank you Syazweena. Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is SITI JAMIELAH, and for my part, I will explain about the data collection and analysis together with overview of findings. Okay, so next slide. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so for our data collection, we selected 30 TikTok videos from the Abang Brand account. These videos were chosen because they contain clear spoken dialogue and are suitable for analyzing natural language use. Next step, each video was downloaded and manually transcribed. During transcription, we include important features like pauses, fillers, and repetitions when they affected meaning or language structure. After that, we check all transcript again to ensure accuracy and consistency. Next step, we coded all the errors using Cordes 1974 error analysis framework. This helped us classify every error into specific subcategories such as misinformation, omission, addition, misordering, and several lexical related errors like word choice and code switching. Next slide. Okay, after coding, we group the errors into two major categories, which is grammatical error and lexical error. Then we calculated the frequency of each error type to see which patterns occurred the most. Finally, we selected several example sentences from the transcript to illustrate and support our interpretation of the findings. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is grammatical error data. For the overview of findings, our study identified a total of 268 errors across the 30 TikTok videos. Out of this number, 145 were grammatical errors and 123 were lexical errors. This means that grammatical errors occur the most often, showing that the speakers struggle more with sentence structure, verb forms, and applying rules consistently. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is lexical errors data. Meanwhile, lexical errors such as word choice, redundancy, code switching, and informal or slang also appeared quite frequently, which reflects the casual and conversational nature of TikTok content. Next slide. Okay. Overall, the errors vary from video to video as each speaker has different speaking habits influenced by context, speed, and spontaneity. Next slide. Okay, so this is grammatical error, most frequent error occurred data. For grammatical errors, the most common subtype is misinformation, which accounts for 24.3% of all errors. This includes using the wrong verb tense, incorrect verb forms, or subject-verb agreement mistakes. The second most common is omission at 17.9%, where important elements like articles, prepositions, or verb are left out. As you can see, the example I provide. Okay, so next slide. Okay, next slide. Okay, we also found addition errors which happen when unnecessary words or morphemes are added, and misordering errors where the word sequence in the sentence is incorrect. These patterns reflect how the speakers often rely on fast, spontaneous speech, which increase the likelihood of structural error. That's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maryam. So, Assalamualaikum. My name is INTAN or SOFEA. So as for my part, I will explain the lexical errors found in Abang Brand's TikTok street interviews. So from the analysis, the most common lexical error was code switching, which made up to 19.4% of the errors. This includes shifting between English and Malay and the use of Malaysian English particles like la, ma, and kan. And we also found wrong word choices, literal Malay translations, redundant vocabulary, and frequent use of slang or informal expressions. So, some examples from our data include I don't know lah, it's showing code switching, and the other one is during my baby time, it's showing literal translation from Malay. So these patterns reflect how speakers naturally talk in informal Malaysian context. So next is why these errors happen. So these errors mainly occur because the interviews are spontaneous. So participants answer immediately, so they don't have time to plan their grammar or vocabulary. And when speaking on the spot, people naturally focus on the meaning and not the accuracy. There is also strong influence from Malay, especially in literal translations and missing grammatical markers, since Malay doesn't require tense or article usage. So the informal TikTok setting also encourage relaxed speech, which includes slang and code switching. In Malaysia, this is not unusual, which is mixing language is a common and natural part of communication. And next is discussion and conclusion. So as for the discussion, the findings support the idea that errors are a natural part of second language use, especially in spontaneous speech. And the most frequent issues are misinformation, omission, and code switching, show that speakers rely on simple structures and familiar language patterns when responding quickly. Although errors appear, the interviews demonstrate that participants can still communicate their ideas clearly. And this shows that in real life communication, meaning and fluency often matter more than perfect grammar. So I think that's all from me. Thank you. I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Sophia. Assalamualaikum. My name is NURUL, and for my part, I will present the recommendations and conclusion. Now, I will share the recommendations from the study. First, let's look at what the educators can do. So the educators can emphasize more on speaking English, not just writing assignments. In Malaysia, English lessons usually focus more on reading and writing. Because of this, students learn grammar rules, but they do not get enough speaking practice. So, teachers should include more speaking activities in class. This can be done through simple role plays, group discussions, or short speaking tasks where students talk without reading from a script. These activities help the students to speak more naturally and improve their fluency and accuracy at the same time. Next, let's move on to what the learners can do. So the learners should also practice speaking English on the spot without planning their words too much. So, since Malaysia is a multilingual country, students often mix languages or depend on casual words. To improve, they can join small speaking clubs, pair discussions, or digital speaking tasks where they answer questions immediately without rewriting their responses. This can help the students to become more confident, think faster in English, and use better grammar when speaking. Finally, let's look at the role of the content creators. So the content creators can add more structurally correct forms and a variety of lexical usage to their content. So content creators on TikTok nowadays actually have a big influence on young people. So that's why they can also help to improve English use among the viewers. So they can add more correct sentence structure and use a wider range of vocabulary in their videos. They can still keep their content fun and natural, but show better English through captions, short explanations, or behind the scene clips. This way, viewers can enjoy the content and at the same time can learn better English. Then next slide, please.
So for the conclusion part, this study found that the most common grammar errors were misinformation and the second one is omission. And the speakers also made lexical errors such as using slang, code switching, or choosing the wrong word while speaking. Most of these errors happen because the interviewees need to speak quickly and spontaneously. This analysis is helpful for teachers because it shows real speaking problems that learners face in real life. It also shows that TikTok can be a useful source of real life language examples. However, this study still has some limitation which it only analysed 30 videos and focus only on grammar and vocabulary. Other than that, this analysis also shows clear error patterns that are influenced by Malaysia's multilingual environment. This can help us to understand why the students make certain mistakes and how we can support them better. So overall, these findings help us to understand real speaking challenges and how we can improve English use in a multilingual setting, for example, in Malaysia. So I think that is all from our group. Thank you for listening.